People think pretending not to care means you've healed. It doesn't. Sometimes, it means you've simply become better at hiding the damage. You still think about them. You still notice when their name appears. You still wonder what would have happened if one conversation had gone differently. You just stopped letting anyone see it, because somewhere along the way, you learned that caring openly came with consequences. Not always rejection. Sometimes something quieter. Embarrassment. Shame. That look people give you when they realize you feel more deeply than they do. So you started pretending. Not because your feelings disappeared, because you wanted to protect what was left of you. And that's where the psychology changes. Pretending not to care isn't usually about fooling someone else. It's about surviving yourself. Most people think emotional masking begins after heartbreak. It often starts much earlier, especially if you've spent years hiding parts of your identity. For many LGBTQ+ people, the first thing they ever learned to hide wasn't love. It was themselves. You learned to measure your words, watch people's reactions, wonder whether this person was safe, whether that joke meant something, whether silence meant danger. You became good at reading people, really good, so good, that eventually you started reading everyone else's emotions before checking your own. That changes a person, quietly, over time. When you've spent enough years protecting yourself, honesty stops feeling natural. It starts feeling reckless. So even when someone genuinely asks, "Are you okay?" your mouth answers before your heart can. "I'm fine. I'm just tired. It's nothing." Even when it isn't, because you've practiced those answers hundreds of times. They've become automatic. Not lies, survival. Modern dating makes this even worse. Everything feels replaceable. One swipe, one match, one new notification. That's all it takes. People don't just compare themselves to their ex anymore. They compare themselves to everyone. Every profile, every like, every person who suddenly starts following them. And without realizing it, your brain starts asking impossible questions. Were they better looking, more interesting, more confident, more masculine, more feminine, more successful, more enough? The relationship may be over, but the comparison never ends. Social media has created a strange illusion. Everyone looks emotionally fine. Everyone looks like they've moved on. Everyone looks like they're living their best life. Until you remember, you're looking at performances, not reality. People post peace. They don't post panic attacks. They post vacations. They don't post the nights they almost sent the message and deleted it again and again and again. You start believing everyone heals faster than you. Most of them don't. They're just hiding differently. Here's what nobody talks about. Pretending not to care doesn't make the feeling disappear. It just changes where it lives. Instead of crying, you overwork. Instead of talking, you scroll. Instead of admitting you miss them, you convince yourself you're just bored. Your emotions don't leave. They relocate into your body, into your sleep, into the constant exhaustion you can't explain. That's why emotional suppression is so confusing. From the outside, you look calm. Inside, your nervous system is running a marathon. You're checking your phone, not because you're expecting a message, because some part of your brain still hopes. Hope is stubborn like that. It survives logic. It survives pride. Sometimes, it even survives goodbye. People often call this attachment, but sometimes it's unfinished safety. You weren't only attached to the person. You were attached to how they made your nervous system feel. Seen, chosen, wanted. For a little while, the constant scanning finally stopped. Then they left, and suddenly, your brain started searching again. Not for them, for that feeling. There's a difference, a huge one. One of the darkest emotional traps is pretending you're the kind of person who doesn't need reassurance. You laugh things off. You act independent. You say, I'm not really the clingy type, but privately, one delayed reply changes your entire mood. Not because you're dramatic, because your mind has quietly connected silence with loss. Every unanswered message feels bigger than it really is. Not because of today, because of everything it reminds you of. That's how emotional memory works. It doesn't ask permission. Someone cancels dinner, and suddenly, you're 12 years old again, feeling left out. Someone becomes distant, and your body reacts before your mind even understands why. Old wounds borrow new faces. That's why some reactions feel so overwhelming. You're never reacting to one moment. You're reacting to every similar moment your nervous system never finished processing. Eventually, pretending becomes easier than explaining. You stop saying, I miss you. You stop asking, do you still want me here? You stop admitting, this hurt me. Not because those feelings disappeared, because vulnerability started feeling like gambling, and you've already lost too many times. The strange part is that people begin believing your performance. They think you're strong, unbothered, confident, the one who never gets attached. Meanwhile, you're lying awake at 2 in the morning, replaying conversations that ended weeks ago, wondering whether one different sentence could have changed everything. Nobody sees that version of you, because you've become an expert at hiding it. The internet celebrates emotional detachment, calls it confidence, but those aren't always the same thing. Sometimes, emotional distance isn't maturity. It's fear wearing expensive clothes. It looks attractive. It sounds confident. But underneath, it's someone terrified of needing another human being. Because needing people has hurt before. One of the cruelest things about pretending not to care is that eventually you stop knowing what you actually feel. You've edited yourself for so long that every emotion gets questioned. Do I really miss them? Or am I just lonely? Am I actually hurt? Or am I overreacting? Do I want them back? Or do I just miss being wanted? Your own emotions stop feeling trustworthy. That confusion is exhausting. And then something even quieter happens. You stop expecting people to understand you. So you explain less. You share less. You reveal less. Not because nobody cares. Because you've already decided they won't. That's the moment emotional loneliness begins. Not when people leave. When you stop believing they'd stay, if they truly knew you. The deepest human need was never attention. It was emotional safety. A place where you don't have to calculate every word. A place where you don't have to look unaffected. A place where caring doesn't feel embarrassing. Where missing someone doesn't feel weak. Where honesty isn't punished. It's welcomed. Maybe that's the hidden psychology no one talks about. The people who pretend not to care usually care the most. They've simply learned that showing it once cost them too much. So they protect themselves again and again until protection becomes personality. Silence becomes identity. Distance becomes habit. And one day, they're no longer hiding their feelings from other people. They're hiding them from themselves. Because pretending not to care was never about becoming emotionally stronger. It was about becoming emotionally harder to reach. And those are two very different things.